Existe valor no que transcende o tempo, no que se transforma sem pressa. Seja na gestão do seu patrimônio ou para o crescimento da sua empresa, no ASA, cada solução é pensada para gerar valor. ASA, gerando valor através de gerações.
Decisões inteligentes começam com informação confiável. O Valor conecta você a soluções certas para cada fase da sua jornada no mercado. Valor Econômico. Notícias que geram negócios.
Conheça a proteção favorita dos especialistas. Prudential. A maior seguradora independente em seguros de vida do Brasil. Há 27 anos no país. Pro agora, pro amanhã, pro futuro. Prudential.
A estratégia é investir no futuro. Seja você um assessor ou um investidor, trace um plano. Siga em frente. E saiba que o consórcio XP é o melhor caminho.
Sorte. Dizem que todo empreendedor precisa de sorte. Eu tive sorte de ser demitido do meu emprego. Sorte de ter sido rotulado como uma pessoa sem futuro e incompetente. Sorte de começar um negócio numa salinha de 25 metros quadrados, sem dinheiro e no pior cenário econômico possível. Sorte de seguir meu próprio caminho, mesmo quando a minha família achava que era impossível. Sorte de ter medo das incertezas e de quase ter desistido. Sorte de quase ter quebrado algumas vezes e ter vendido meu carro para continuar acreditando no meu sonho. Sorte de lutar contra tudo e contra todos, porque tudo isso se transformou em combustível para seguir em frente e acreditar que estava no caminho certo. Sorte não cai no colo. Sorte é aquilo que mostra que tudo que pode dar errado, mas no final é o tombo que te torna mais forte. Ela vem da resiliência, da vontade de vencer e do desejo de mostrar que você é capaz. Vem das pessoas que acreditam nas suas palavras. Vem no frio na barriga de inspirar e de realmente ter fé nas suas crenças. Sorte não é para poucos. É para todo mundo que corre atrás e nunca desiste. Quanto mais você acredita, sonha e trabalha, mais sorte você terá para chegar onde nunca imaginou. E ao chegar lá, você vai descobrir que a sorte é recompensa pela sua coragem. Boa sorte, empreendedores!
Vamos de volta! E agora estou acompanhadíssima pelo diretor de canais da XP Inc., Guilherme Santana. Muito obrigada, Santana.
É isso aí, Glenda. Você apresentou todo mundo nos últimos 2 dias, agora eu vou te apresentar.
Ah, meu Deus do céu! Eu já tô nervosa. Agora danou-se.
Pessoal, pedi para ela ficar nesse papo, né, porque além de uma verdadeira referência no jornalismo brasileiro, esportivo, ela também é uma referência para quem não sabe no mar. Talvez para surpresa de muitos de nós aqui, ela é tetracampeã mundial de bodyboarding. Né?
Long time ago!
Alguém que entende profundamente desse esporte. Então vai ser um papo de surfista para surfista, inclusive eu, né, Glenda?
Exatamente. Então... Que honra, meu Deus do céu. Agora eu fiquei nervosa de vez. Mas, ó, é tão bom, né, você sabe quando antes de eu entrar aqui na chamada dele, eu fui pesquisar, obviamente, né, relembrar os momentos do Kelly Slater. E eu olhando a história dele, Guilherme, eu mergulhei um pouquinho na minha história também, né? Então eu acabei relembrando de muitos momentos. Então foi muito gostoso poder vocês terem me dado essa oportunidade de estar aqui nesse momento. Então esse cara, existem pessoas que seguem a maré, não é verdade? Agora existem outras que não, que elas não só escolhem a onda, como elas ditam. Elas transformam aquela onda. Não é a onda que impõe o que ele vai fazer. É ele que impõe na onda o que ele quer fazer. Esse cara é assim. E o nosso próximo convidado já enfrentou tempestades, venceu calmarias, porque quando a gente acha que calmaria está fácil demais, é quando a gente tem que ter mais atenção na vida da gente, são nos momentos de calmaria. Venceu adversários gigantes, permaneceu, insistiu, dominou os maiores paredões de água do planeta, tudo isso com uma prancha nos pés, com a cabeça focada em estratégia, equilíbrio e principalmente leitura do cenário. Ele não entendia o mar, ele lia o mar, ele sentia o mar, sentia o ambiente onde ele ia entrar. É um mestre em entender o tempo certo de agir, o tempo certo de esperar e o tempo certo de atacar, que é importante. São mais de 3 décadas construindo um legado sem precedentes no surf profissional, e aí eu levo para o esporte mundial. Dono de 11 títulos mundiais, ele quebrou recordes históricos, como o de atleta mais jovem e mais velho a vencer um campeonato da elite mundial. Fora do mar, ele também se destacou como empreendedor e vem se destacando, vem aprendendo uma nova profissão, né? Como investidor também, iniciativas voltadas à preservação dos oceanos, ao futuro sustentável do planeta. Enquanto muita gente corre das ondas, ele bate de frente, ele rema lá para frente dela. E hoje ele vem aqui no palco da Expert XP, vocês estão vendo que eu estou nervosa, né? 2025, né, Gui?
Muito bom, Glenda. Bom, turma, sem mais delongas aqui com vocês, o rei das ondas, o cara que virou sinônimo de performance e consistência em altíssimo nível, a lenda Kelly Slater.
Oh gosh.
Wow, this crowd.
Huge, huh? I told you. Okay. After everything you've done in your life, I would like to start with a recent memory. Very recent memory. Pipeline, Hawaii, Pipe Master, the most traditional, important championship in surf. And you won with 50 years old. What do you think about this? How was this? And you knew exactly what you need to do to win the contest, to win the title. Tell me that history.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thanks for having me. Good to see all you guys. Thanks to everybody for being here. Bom dia, obrigado. It's been, I haven't been back to Brazil for 6 years, so it's nice to be here. I did a speaking conference with Hicks and Gracie in New York about a year ago as well. So anyways, good to be back in Brazil. Yeah, that event, so for anyone who's not familiar with the Pipe Masters, it's in golf, that would be like the Masters at Augusta. It's really the premier event in the world. And as a kid, it was the #1 event I wanted to win. So I focused all my energy from the time I was a young child surfing in Hawaii. I focused all my energy on learning pipeline. And so I won it 3 years ago, just the week before I turned 50. You know, I've won a few contests in my day, and I would say that's the best one. It was the best one. It was, I was in the airport this morning. I flew in from LA last night, and I was in the airport, and a guy came up to me, and we started to talk, and we took a picture. And he said, "I want you to know, when you won Pipeline, I was crying." And I said, "So was I." And I've, you know, of all the, and you know, there was something, you know, like it sucks getting old, you know. Like no one wants to get old. We all want to stay young and have fun the rest of our lives. But you know, as you age and as you age out of your sport or the top level of your sport, it's a different position to be in. I was the young guy, and then I was the old guy. I was the youngest world champ. I was the oldest world champ. But then I was on the tour for, you know, a dozen years, 13 years more after I won my last world title. So winning Pipeline at that age, it didn't just mean a lot to me, it meant a lot to people who watched me my whole life. It meant, I've met people all around the world. I was walking down the beach in Namibia, in Africa, 2 years ago, and this Australian guy comes up to me, he goes, "Mate, I was crying when you won Pipeline." And he gave me a hug. And everywhere I go around the world, people talk to me about that contest and how much it meant to them. And it was like personal for a lot of people. So yeah, that was probably the most impactful win of my career. And you know, in all likelihood, it'll probably be the last World Tour event I'll ever win, which, you know, if I had to pick one event to win only one time in my life, it would be that one.
But he knew what he needs to do, like the maneuver for the back door. You said before, I need to do this kind of maneuver to get the title. That was happen?
Well, you know, Pipeline is a right and a left. The wave goes both directions. And when the wave's smaller, the right is better, which is good for me because I'm on my, it's on my forehand when I surf. But it's equally important to be good at Pipeline. And that day had rights and lefts, had both direction waves. You know, I made the final with Seth Moniz, and Seth and we had a big argument earlier in that week where I was good friends with his father. I'm good friends with everyone in his family, and he and I got into like an altercation with each other, which was no big deal. But at the end of the week, he and I make the final together, his first final, and we make the final, and we look at each other, we just start laughing. Like, of course we're gonna surf against each other, you know. And he's the young guy trying to win his first, and I'm the old guy trying to win my last, and you know, we got in the water, and we said good luck, and he said, "You better bring it," and I said, "You better bring it," you know, like the gloves are off now, let's fight. And yeah, it was my day, you know, it was just my day. So
it's really amazing. Well, as you said, this is one of your recent wins, but you won 56, you know, titles between your long career. You won as a very young guy with 20 years, the first time you were a world champion, then with 39 years. What's your secret to sustain so many, you know, so much competitive edge, so much capability of winning so many times? What's the secret that you can share with us?
I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things you need to do to look after yourself for a long time. But the number one thing is you got to have passion. You got to have passion for what you do. You have to have passion for the thing you commit your life to. You know, your relationship, your job, your pastimes, your family, all these things. You know, you have to have full commitment of your all of your being. And you know, surfing as a young kid, I had a kind of an unstable family life. You know, my parents didn't have a good relationship. I have an older brother and a younger brother, but my parents divorced, and you know, I didn't have a really great feeling in the house. But surfing made everything good for me. You know, I would go surf and just forget about the world, and I felt from a young age that that surfing had something really special for me. I knew it. I didn't think it. I knew it. I knew it was going to provide me something spectacular in my life, and I don't know why I knew that. I just believed it. I felt it. You know, and I think to have longevity in something, you have to have a passion for it. You have to love what you do. You have to be like maybe obsessive about it. And if you love something that much, you're going to do everything you can to be complete with it. So, yeah, I think you have to really follow your passion. And I love surfing. I've always loved surfing more than anything. It provided me like a safe space when I was a kid, and I felt like if I didn't pay attention to surfing, if I didn't give it enough of my time and respect, that it wasn't going to provide me something good. And so if I was surfing and the waves wouldn't come to me, or I wasn't surfing well, I thought, you know what, I didn't give enough attention to this thing. Like, I felt it was like a relationship between me and the ocean, and I felt that from a very young age.
How was it for you? Because I have a sense that through time, the more it got physical, you had to train physically, functional training. How was that for you? Did you like to do the train outside of the sea, outside of the waves, or that was easy for you as well?
No, I haven't. I never really loved training. I like to surf. But now there's so much biohacking happening. We have so much information on social media about health and wellness. And I mean, the reason I've had a long career is because I haven't been injured. I've been really fortunate. I didn't have any really bad injuries until late in my career. I broke my foot 8 years ago. I was actually supposed to surf against Felipe Toledo later that day, and I broke my foot, and I struggled with that for a couple of years. 2 years ago, I had a hip surgery. I probably have to go get another one. So I sort of saved all my injuries till the end of my career.
That's smart. That's smart.
I've broken my feet 4 times, but it's only, until this last one, it only ever cost me one contest that I missed. So I was able to be lucky, and we've already seen a few world titles decided because of injury now. John Florence, Gabriel Medina, they both had injuries that probably cost them world titles. Felipe's also had some injuries. Italo's also had some injuries. So it's with the way modern surfing's going, the bigger maneuvers, the aerials, there's a lot more risk to your ankles and knees and back. So I was fortunate, and no injuries ever cost me a world title.
You're a very lucky guy, because you love, you have a passion, and you work riding the same wave. Everything's together: love, passion, and work, because it's your work. So how was for you to balance all the things together at the same time? Because it's a challenge.
Yeah.
When it's nice, love what you do, but it's a challenge when love and work is together all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's not only love, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it is. Some people say don't mix business and pleasure, but my business is my pleasure. So it's
your business is a pleasure for everybody. A lot of people goes to surf to have pleasure.
Yeah. It's. I never looked at it in a negative. I've almost always thought I'm really fortunate to do something I love and make a job, make a career, make a life from this. At the same time, it's the feeling, the essence I have from surfing, from like when I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, nobody knew me. I just go surf at my beach, It's hard for me to get in touch with that sometimes now, the same way. So sometimes if I hear a song from when I was a little kid, or I have a memory of being at the beach with my mom or going fishing or something, I'll get this same feeling back. And I remember exactly what made me love surfing so much. But when it does become all-encompassing, when it's your life, your work, your travel, your friendships, all these things, it becomes a little overwhelming sometimes. And so you can lose touch with why you love something. It changes. So now, being retired from full-time competition, I'll still surf a couple of contests every year, probably, like 1 or 2 for a few years. But now I'm starting to, I have a 1-year-old son. He just turned 1 last week, so I'm very fortunate. But I'm starting to get in touch with those feelings again, more consistently. Everyone here who has a kid, they know, when you see your kid do something for the first time, or like the first time they stand up, or first time they walk, or first time they eat food, all these things, they're like, every day we have something new with him, so it's so fun. And I start to remember, like when I was a kid, like the things I love to do. And sometimes I think back on my life, and I've probably been to Brazil like 25 times, 20 times, 30 times. I've probably been to Australia 50 times. I've been to Hawaii 70 times, you know. I've been all through Europe, I don't know how many times. So many things have happened in my life, it just becomes overwhelming. I'm not complaining, it's been great, but it's also like, you almost can't absorb all of those memories and feelings and thoughts and process them, you know? Because we're like 1 week here, 1 week there, 1 week there. And so you never quite get to absorb and process all of it. So sometimes you have to sit back at the end of the year when you have some time off. Okay, let me just remember everything that happened, all the people I met or friends I got to see or things I did. So now my life slowed down a bit. And, you know, it's more important to change a diaper than catch a wave. So, but it's good. It's really fun. It's really fun. It's a different challenge for me.
Change diaper. That's so good. And you already surfed with him.
Well, I caught 2 waves with him.
Catch a wave with him, the little one.
Yeah.
How was that moment for you?
As
a dad.
I should have gave them the video to show, but yeah, no, I caught
Just show me the video. He's surfing with this baby.
I'm sure many people here know we built a wave surf ranch in California, and 2 weeks ago we had my son's first birthday, and I caught 2 waves with him. Just little tiny waves, but you know, he can't swim yet. So a little dangerous. But yeah, that's another thing. All the risk I've taken in my life, you know, surfing dangerous waves, traveling all the world, the simplest things scare me as a dad, you know?
I know.
It's so weird, it's so strange. But like having him in the water, I'm teaching him how to swim, and just putting his head underwater, if he takes a little water in, it freaks me out. I get so scared, like, oh man, how do I do this? So, yeah.
Imagine if he's get 18, like 13 years old, and said, Daddy, I'm going to pipeline, I'm going to Tia Hoopu. That's possible.
Well, I have one of my best friends is Shane Dorian, and Shane's son is my godson, and his name's Jackson. He's a really good surfer. He's like 18, I think he's 18 years old now. And, you know, he's surfing Tropu and all these waves. But I remember watching Shane as he grew up, you know, Shane trying to sort of train him to surf bigger waves. Shane's the best big wave guy in the world, you know, paddling into big waves. And then to see his little son learn, I remember watching him teach him how to swim and then how to ride waves. And now he's going around the world by himself, and it's funny to see that evolution. But I'll be excited when that day comes. I hope he loves the surf. If not, I hope he loves the golf. Yeah.
Now, Kelly, many people say that before you started, surf was seen more as a laid-back sport, not as a high-performance sport. You brought discipline, you brought preparation, you brought more of a mindset of a champion to the sport, and turned it more of a professional style, and above that, a desired sport for a lot of people. Maybe Baywatch helped that as well, right? When you were a Baywatch. So how did you perceive...
You got Pamela Anderson!
How did you perceive that evolution of the sport and you impacting that through time?
Yeah, I feel like I was born at the right time. I feel like I'm very fortunate to have my life happen at the time it has, because of technology, because of the way the world is. Because I grew up in a small town where everyone knows everybody, and you know, the world's quickly getting more technologically advanced. Everything's speeding up. As far as surfing goes, it's everywhere you go. Surfing's crowded, super crowded. It's so frustrating now because I grew up starting to travel around the world to Indonesia and all these places in Hawaii, and there weren't many people surfing, and now it's so crowded everywhere, and it's for me it's kind of heartbreaking. But I think it's the natural evolution. Surfing, I think, is the greatest thing in the world. It's the most fun thing in the world to do. And I see why everyone wants to go surfing, because that's just what I wanted to do. I don't know whether I had, you know, I could never know my influence on where surfing's at now, whether any of that had to do with me or it was just because of the timing of yeah, I think surfing is just a beautiful pastime, a beautiful way to live your life, and maybe some of the visibility of it from pro surfing has influenced how many people surf, but at the same time, I think anyone who goes out and rides a wave is going to fall in love with surfing. So, I don't know if I influence that or not. It's not for me to say or even to ever know, but I think now surfing's probably the most beautiful sport in the world too. You're just surfing nature, you're riding this energy that's there to be tapped into, and there's just something so pure about it. It's not, like I love Formula One, I love golf, I love jiu-jitsu, but there's just something so natural about surfing a wave. And this thing comes from thousands of miles away, and you have to put yourself in the right place to catch it and then decipher what the energy is telling you on this wave. It's a spiritual thing, and I think there's nothing like it in the world.
It's hard for us to follow, right, Glenda, because the tour goes on in Australia or California, so the time zone for us, it's a challenge, but it's getting a lot crowded in Brazil as well.
Yeah, I know this. When I go to Rio de Janeiro, I'm not living in Rio de Janeiro, but I'm born in Rio de Janeiro. I live here in São Paulo, but I want to go to surf in Rio de Janeiro. And I always goes in the place where I start to surf, to boogie board, buddy board, not surf, buddy board. And there's a lot of teenagers there, like crazy. And they are looking to me and say, "Get out of here, that's my wave." And I said, shut up, I was here before. It's difficult to catch some waves now. It's a crowd. But that's good, that's nice. It means that you...
They don't know their history, that's all.
No, yeah. They said, "Come on, you don't know who I am." But I think when you paddle for the wave, you choose the, when you look for the wave, when there comes the wave and the crowd outside, when you look at the way everybody said, "Oh, Mr. Kelly Slater going there." It has happened?
It happens both ways.
Both
ways, yeah.
Okay.
Some people like, "You go," and some people like, "You are not going."
That's good. That's funny too.
There's a guy at every beach who wants to test you a little bit, He's the guy at that beach and he wants to show you what he's got,
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about your businessman. Your businessman side. That's so nice. Protect the planet, respect the environment. How important to have this mindset in all your business since day one.
Yeah, I've tried to. As I started to get more into business instead of just being a sponsored surfer, I've had a lot of influence from Yvon Chouinard from Patagonia. And Yvon, in his book, he said every time he made a decision to do something better for the planet, it was better for his business. And so I think when you set out to do the right thing, that people understand that and they feel that and they see that. So I founded a company called Outer Known, a clothing company. And we use all recycled, regenerated, or organic textiles, cottons and materials. And alongside that, I also said that I made the #1 point of the company to be social compliance, so that in our factories, everyone has a good living wage, they have good living conditions, work conditions, and so our team flew around the world to handpick the different factories we'd work with. It doesn't matter if they're in China or Sri Lanka or Peru or United States. Every place we build clothes, people have a good working condition and they make a good wage. On the other side of that, our clothes cost more. It's more expensive to produce. We don't do super high volumes, so it's a tricky business plan, but we set out to do the right thing, and we try to do that with all the different businesses I work with. Same with sponsorships. I've never wanted to just make a dollar. I want to work with something I believe in or I feel strongly about, and I just think it's important to have your principles, and they can align with your business. You can always align your principles with your business, I believe.
How do you dedicate a lot of time today to develop new businesses as well? maybe you can talk about the Surf Ranch. How was that idea and how that developed through time?
Yeah, my business partner on the Surf Ranch is here with me. Actually, he's traveling with me right now. But we started to work together to create the Man-Made Waves in 2007. I started to work on it in 2005. Met him in 2007. We started working together, and in 2015, well, 2013, we found a property and started to build. 2014 started to build, and 2015 we opened the Surf Ranch. Funny story here that is connected to Brazil. 2015 is when the first Brazilian world champion was crowned. That was Adriano de Souza at Pipeline. We first ran the wave on December 5th of that year, 2015. When we put together this video, and we knew it was going to have a lot of interest, you know? And so the next week was the world title decision at Pipeline. And so we said, okay, we can't put the video out before that. We got to wait till after that's finished. We don't want to interrupt. And so anyways, surfed the wave, edited the video. About 10, 12 days later, Adriano won the world title. And about 2 or 3, 4 days after that, the following week, we put out the video of Surf Ranch. And it sort of backfired because everyone thought we were trying to interrupt his world title. We were doing the opposite. We were trying to make sure we didn't interrupt the title. We want to, let's wait. We won't show anything until somebody wins the world title, you know? And so a lot of Brazilians were mad at me because they thought we were trying to like take away his moment, which we were trying to do the opposite. But you know, Adriano and I we had a pretty good rivalry. But you know, he's coaching a few of my friends on tour now, and Adriano's a buddy of mine. A couple years ago, I gave him a day at Surf Ranch, and he took a bunch of kids with him, and so you know, we have Adriano and I have like a brotherly kind of love-hate thing with each other, you know, but we're good buddies. But yeah, the Surf Ranch was a lifelong passion. I think it's probably going to be, looking back, maybe it's the biggest legacy from my life in a lot of ways. It was really the start of the man-made surf industry, I guess. And now you guys have 3 or 4 waves. Yep. Another one even coming here in Sao Paulo.
Some of our friends and partners here, they're really expecting to have one of your waves here someday.
Yeah, well.
They're already wearing your clothes. They're already using your clothes. So
yeah.
They want a store in Brazil as well. They have to buy it in the US.
All right. Well, yeah, I think I'm going to try and get to some of the waves here in the next few days and surf them, but we'll see.
How come this idea? Like one day you just wake up and say, I would like to surf the best wave, the perfect wave every day, any time. I want to create a wave pool. How was this since the beginning? Was it like this? Simple like this?
No, when I was a little kid, in Orlando in Florida, we have a place called Wet and Wild. You can go swim and do the slides and everything. And they have a little wave pool.
Yes.
Mini waves are like this big. You can't surf it, but you can swim in it. And we used to sort of body surf and take boogie boards and try to surf on the wave, but we couldn't, you know, it was too small. So, and from Florida, we have really small waves. And we used to surf behind the boat all the time because we just didn't have enough surf day to day. My first surf coach was a guy named Matt Keckley. He was a world tour surfer. Maybe you would have met Matt back in the day.
Yes, I met him.
But he was my coach and made my surfboards. In 2005, he calls me and he said, I saw this video and this guy's making this wave pool and it's incredible. He's like, you have to get involved with this. You have to see this. He's like, I'm going to send you this. And he sent me a video, and long story short, I met this guy who had this idea and we started to work together. And my brain just started ticking over, and I was like, we can make perfect waves, you know? And I know, so Matt called me, he said, look, I think you should do this because you know enough people, maybe you can get this made. And I took this video and I showed a bunch of the pro surfers that I travel with. I said, what do you think about these waves? And the waves were only small, you know? but they were like, oh my gosh, if you could make that, that would change the world. So I just committed to it and I put together, at the time I was surfing for Quicksilver, and I went to my boss at Quicksilver. I said, hey, I want to see if you guys want to be involved with this. I said, but I don't want it to be Quicksilver. I want it to be like the industry. It shouldn't just be one company. It should be like everyone. So we decided to put a meeting together with all the different surf companies we could contact. We had like 25 or 30 surf companies come to a meeting and put our minds together to try to figure out how, let's imagine if we were able to make waves, perfect waves, what it would do for the industry, what it would do, how each of the companies could benefit from that. And so that was my idea, to try to raise money. And they were all excited. Yeah, we're in, let's do this. Yeah, this is great. And then when I finally put the team together to try to make it happen, nobody would put any money up. They just thought it was a great idea. So I started to have these, my manager and a couple of friends we knew that could help raise funds. We got together and we started to have small teams, small meetings with groups of investors. And my partner who's here with me, Jeff, is one of those people who, he saw it and he goes, I don't want to invest, I want to work with you. And I think you should have a goal. And the goal should be, surfing should get in the Olympics. And if we have these waves, you can get surfing in the Olympics because you can control the size, the frequency, the shape of the waves. And so that's how we started getting into the idea. And then little by little, we had 4 or 5, maybe half a dozen people invest some money in the company. And nobody would build one. Everyone's like, it's great, come build one on my property. But nobody wanted to build one and put the money up. So Jeff and I put our money up and built one. And that's how it started. So, and I couldn't sleep at night because I thought, I had this really nice career, made some money, I've done pretty good for a surfer, and now I'm going to spend it on this thing and it's not going to work. And then, I knew it would work, but I didn't know if it would I didn't know what would happen from it. So, so we did that, and it's been a great ride since then. But it was a challenge. But Matt Keckley, who was my first coach, gave me the idea, you got to go do this.
It take you 10 years.
Yeah.
Since you get the idea
10 years.
to make through, takes 10 years.
Yeah, and
building all those things.
Yeah, and December will be 10 years since we opened and surfed the first waves there. So, yeah.
Yes. So Kelly, let's talk a little bit about competition. You and Andy Irons, have the most iconic rivalry in surfing history. You faced each other in 20 finals. Between 2002 2004, he won 3 times the title of the World Championship. And someone told me that on the 3rd title, you were decided that the next one you were going to win. So how does competition with him shape you personally and professionally?
Yeah. Obviously, rivalries are great for sport. They're great for stories and media and all that stuff. But on a personal level, it's good and bad. It's hard to have someone you hate so much. You want to just smash them. And that's how Andy and I were. We eventually became pretty good friends towards the end of Andy's life. The last couple of years we were quite close. We'd go to dinner with our girlfriends together and stuff. And I remember sitting at this dinner and my girlfriend was telling Andy and his wife how I make almond milk at the house, right? And Andy's like, you can make that? I'm like, yeah, you just put almonds in some water and some salt, and he's like, he couldn't believe I made almond milk, But Andy and I, when I was off tour from 99 through 2001. I got back on the tour in 2002. That was the first year Andy won. My father passed away about 2 months into the tour happening that year, so 2002 wasn't a great year for me personally. It's tough when you lose a parent, obviously, but my heart wasn't really in the contest. the next year, 2003, I got really motivated, and I started to think a lot about my dad and how he never got the chance to surf the waves I did, go to the places I did, know all these people. And I got really inspired, and I started doing really good in competition. And my dad used to take me to all my contests as a kid. So the contest started to mean more to me again. I wasn't just sad for my dad dying. I was thinking like, gosh, my dad only ever traveled with me one time to watch me on tour, a single contest at Pipeline in 2001. And I got second place to Bruce Irons. And I came up the beach, and my dad, I was staying in a house, and my dad was watching from the yard, but when I came in from surfing, my dad was down on the beach, and he was crying when I walked up, and I was like, oh, Dad, sorry, I wanted to win that one for you so bad, you know? And he goes, I'm just so proud of you. And I said, what are you doing down here? Why aren't you in the yard? And he goes, I just didn't want everyone to see me crying. And he just goes, I'm so proud of you. I don't care if you get first or last. And so that was the only time my dad ever saw me surf in a contest outside of Florida. And it was the last one I surfed before he passed away. So, but I got so inspired the following year. And in 2003, Annie and I, that's when we really had our rivalry. And we come down to the very last event of the year. I'm in first, he's in second, and long story short, he wins, and I just narrowly lost the title that year. So that was his second one in a row. The next year, to be honest, I didn't really even try. I was so heartbroken. I just didn't want to be hurt like that again. And then in 2005, I said, fuck it. I got to get back on the horse. And I won the world title in Brazil that year. So
Beautiful story. Beautiful story.
Beautiful story.
There's a follow-up question. You saw the Brazilian storm rise, right? Generations of athletes who brought power, style, more fearlessness to the sport, right? And you certainly influenced that. It's funny because you stayed very competitive for so long. It's very interesting to see that you have to compete with people that you kind of influence, right? That saw you as a child. And how do you see the Brazilian storm today? We were talking about how many Brazilians already won the championship, and how do you see you influencing their style and competing with these young guys that you inspired so much?
Yeah, so I was on tour with Fabio Gouveia when I first got on tour. Yeah, some people, you guys know that name. Fabio's a legend. I think one of the great all-time surfers from Brazil. He had the smoothest style, nicest guy, and his I think Ian, his son, is here tonight. I saw him backstage before. My partner who was here with me, he didn't know who Ian was. Ian came up, gave me a hug, and said hi. And he goes, "Who was that?" And I said, "Oh, he just beat me at Pipeline this year. I used to surf against his dad." Yeah, obviously with Teco, Flavio Padarats as well. Felipe Toledo, his dad was still competing when I was first on tour. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I've surfed against guys whose dads were on tour, and then they retired before me, which is really strange. Their son who wasn't born yet, like, you know.
They look inside and the pedal, like, no, this guy here again, please, stop it, stop it.
Yeah, it's you know, I just love surfing so much, and competition's been my outlet. So, you know, having a really long career, you know, when I lost the title to, what year was that? Lost it. The last title we came really close. I lost to Mick Fanning.
Mick Fanning.
In the teenage, in 2013 or something, 2013 or 14. You know, I think at that point I realized I don't really have the heart for it still. That desire, like I don't go to bed thinking about it. I don't wake up wanting to win. I just don't think that same. I hate to say I'm going through the motions, but I've stayed on tour kind of to support the tour, but I also I love the outlet. You know, I know what I have to do. I know my job is to go out there and try to win heats, or, you know, I kind of got the job. I know the job, you know, but the passion for winning changed like a decade ago for me, and I think that's why Pipeline was so great, because I felt it all again, and then I won. Yeah. And I couldn't even believe, even the last 10 seconds of that heat, I couldn't believe, like, I'm gonna win, you know? Yeah, and I was like holding my breath, and literally holding my breath. Like, I can hold my breath till this is over. Yeah. And I love, there's no better feeling. Like, I can't explain to people like the feeling, well, I can't, maybe I can. The feeling of like putting your heart and soul and everything into this thing and then winning, it's for me, it's like having a kid. It's like the joy, the excitement, and the fun of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's obviously different. Like, when my son was born a year ago, I caught him, you know? And there's nothing like that. That was like watching an alien come down to Earth. But it's a different love, but it's that feeling, you know, like you can't get it in normal life. That feeling from winning in high level like that. But I don't thrive on it anymore. You know, I don't go to bed and wake up thinking about winning. Now I just want to enjoy my day. And
so how it is? Because you spend like what? 35, 40 years in your life,
yeah,
with this mindset, compete, to win, yeah, the best. And now you just have fun, relax. It's new for you.
Look, the monster is still inside me. Don't forget it. The monster is still there. I guarantee you. You know. But you know,
there's a gossip going around that he may compete for the Olympic Games in Los Angeles,
no.
huh?
Yes.
Look, the monster's still
he
there.
He said no, but I don't believe him.
The monster's still there, but he's not breathing fire anymore. You know, it's a little different. No, but the Brazilian Storm, these guys have been incredible. They've really taken, you know, you can say through my whole career until the last 10 years, there hasn't been a Brazilian surfer who was competitive for a world title until you got to Adriano. Adriano really, he's a really incredible competitor, and there was no way he was going to let Medina do that before him, you know. But then to see Medina and Italo and Felipe come along, and there's a couple of young guys behind them too, but that group of guys is incredibly talented, and so passionate about it, you know. Like Italo, I don't know if that guy sleeps, you know. He's like 20 hours a day, just like on he's in 6th gear, you know, the whole time. He's crazy. He should have the biggest coffee sponsorship in the world. That guy drinks coffee all day long. It's crazy. But yeah, I think they've taken everything that's happened in surfing up to this point and packaged it together into this skill. And they each kind of they're not like all the same guy, you know? And Yago now, you know, Yago might win the world title this year. Yago and Italo both maybe going to have a chance. And they're all really different. Like Medina is like, he's good at everything because there's small waves, big waves, front side, backside barrels, maneuvers, carves, airs. You know, he's the most well-rounded in my opinion. Felipe is the fastest, most radical small wave surfer ever. Italo is like, he's like an enigma. He's so full of energy. His air game is unbelievable. You know, he's won the Olympics. He's won world titles now. And then, now you have Yago, who's grown up around like Pedro Barros, the skater, and he's really taken that skate influence and put it to surfing, and he's probably the most dynamic air surfer in the world now. So I think what's happened, you know, if I'm looking at it from the outside, Brazil was kind of, I'm not being rude here, was kind of looked down on by the surf world for generations. And I think these guys have taken all that energy and said, okay, we'll show you, and we're going to dominate now. Yeah. And it was like this, it was like a volcano waiting, you know? And that's how I see this group of young guys, because now they're like, we're going to take over and dominate, and that's what they've been doing.
For you, was this progression, this evolution from more classical style of surfing to the more progressive, more aggressive style, is that something that you did intentionally? I mean, we have to innovate and do something different to win, or was more natural?
Yeah, well, there's a good argument that the guys talked about before, Matt Keckley. It's believed that he did the first ever aerials in surfing in 1978, 1979, in Cocoa Beach, where I'm from. And the waves we had were really small and short, and so we had to find big maneuvers in a small space with a little bit of energy. The surfing that had, all the best surfers in the world prior to my generation were mostly from Australia, Tom Curran from America, Sean Thompson, Martin Potter from South Africa, but it was mostly dominated by Australia. And they have clean, long, classic waves there. So the style of surfing is very smooth and power-based and tube riding. When my group of guys came, the Momentum generation, we talked about it. We wanted to make the old guys look stupid. You know, we wanted them to look like they didn't know what they were doing. So we wanted to do airs and tail slides, and we wanted to surf big waves better than them and small waves better than them. And like our whole goal was to be better than the generation before us everywhere. And so we were really trying to push new maneuvers and different lines and angles and board designs. And I think that quickly pushed the older generation out and off the tour in the early 90s to the mid 90s. But now everyone's so dynamic now. You have to be able to do everything. You know, you can't be a certain style from a certain place in the world and be the best. You got to be good at everything everywhere. Yeah.
Kerry, let's talk about your health. You very worry always with your health. Mind health. How important is healthy eating for you? How this kind of worry build your mindset, your life, your habits?
Yeah, I grew up on sugar. I was raised on sugar. Literally, you know, I don't know what products you guys know from the States, but I grew up eating like Oreo cookies, chocolate chip cookies, called Chips Ahoy, Doritos, and I ate a lot of junk food as a kid. And my mom hates me saying this because she thinks I'm telling everyone she abused me or something, you know? But like, we just had junk food. Like, she didn't have any boundaries. It was like, go eat whatever you want. And as a kid, you just want to eat sugar. So like, I would make a milkshake before school, you know, like chocolate milkshake, cookies, and everything in there. And
it's good.
Yeah, it was fun, but I would have a stomach ache and I wouldn't feel good. And when I was like early 20s, I went to this health food place and I bought this little cassette tape for $1. And it was this doctor talking about what kills people. And I used to listen to this tape over and over and over and over. And he talked about longevity and the nutrients in your body. And literally that $1 tape like changed my life, because I came super addicted to like becoming healthy. I thought, you know, I got the surfing, I got the board designs, I got the mental game, the competitive approach. But like, this is a whole other like Pandora's box for me to open my health. And so I got super passionate about my health because I had, you know, I was sick. I had a lot of like bronchial, like lung things when I was young, and like some asthma and stuff. And so I wasn't really super healthy. I just got sick a lot when I was a kid. So I got super passionate about health food, and I've never really looked back. So I'm constantly, you know, keeping up on my supplementation and getting my blood tests done and going for body scans. Like 2 weeks ago, I did my latest body scan in California, which I recommend everyone go and do, especially as you're getting older. And I found a couple things in my body we're concerned about. So yeah, nothing alarming, but you know, some things to be aware of. But yeah, you know, I have the next 50 years to focus on my health. I did all this, you know, surfing got in the way a little bit, but you know, I'm still very passionate about my health, and I would say one of the things I'm most proud of myself for in my life is I have friends when they get sick, or when their kids get sick, or they have a family member that has a problem, they literally call me and are like, what do we do? Because I study it so much, it's a real passion of mine, and I get really excited to help people get healthy. Yeah.
Excellent. So you told us now you have a really new challenge, which is to be a father. Before that, you won everything in terms of sports. You're a very successful businessman.
I do also have a 29-year-old daughter, so I had like a little way between the two kids, you know.
Two different challenges.
Yeah.
So how do you see your future? I mean, how do you you know, see aging in terms of body, in terms of mind, in terms of soul? Love for you to share your thoughts with us.
It is definitely said that the surfer's life, a pro surfer especially, is a very selfish life. You know, like my schedule has revolved around me for a long time. And I think the evolution of my life is to focus that energy on other people. And, you know, everyone, I think inevitably, whether it's musicians or athletes or business people, I think inevitably everyone reaches this place where their evolution becomes a spiritual one, and you have to, you can't replace the excitement and the adrenaline. You can't replace that with more. You have to go a different way. And so for me, I envision, you know, as my son was coming along, about to be born, I just started to really focus and sort of meditate myself into this fact that my life's going to be about him and other people. And, you know, there's a sadness too to letting that go. There's definite sadness to, like, there's a swell in Fiji, you know, like I want to go chase the waves, you know. My girlfriend, she still said, hey, look, you want to go surf, go ahead. She knows who I am, but, you know, I'm starting to identify that's not what I can do all the time. So I think that's growth, you know. I think I'm still growing.
That's good. Last question for me. How could I set myself to my best? It's my mind. How can I be best person, best professional, best mother, best everything in my life? For me, not for others, but for myself.
There was something in about 2005 when Andy and I were at like the height of our rivalry. There was something I learned about myself, but it was because I learned it from him, and it was awareness. And we surfed a contest in Japan. Andy got first, I got second. And that night, me, him, and Taj Bro were playing cards, just the three of us, for some reason. And I won the card game, right? Made a couple $100. Just had to take some back off him, you know? But I remember him, like, he had a few drinks, and I remember him yelling at me. He's like, you're aware of everything. He's like, I see it. He's like, he started talking about how aware I was. And for him to see that in me, he had to see that himself. He had to be aware himself. But I've always thought, you know, I thought a lot about that over the years after he said that. But in the early 2000s, I started doing a lot of sort of spiritual work, like weekend conferences with people, small groups of people for personal growth, spiritual growth. And I started to become a lot more aware of how other people feel. And, you know, we all have this feeling, like we're born with this sense of understanding and sensing other people's energy and feeling and stuff. But as we get older and our life gets busy, we forget a lot of it. So I did these workshops to like really get more in touch with that, and it really helped me with my surfing. really helped me with my competing and stuff. But becoming aware of other people's situations in life, you know, it could be a person sitting next to you on a plane, it could be a homeless guy on the street. Like, there's something to learn from everybody, you know, and we all have our own independent journey, and we can help or hurt someone else's, and so I think being the best version of yourself, you're helping other people somehow. Even, you know, like, I've been the guy who's had a lot of focus on me in my life, you know, but if I'm walking down the beach and I see a kid who's sad, and if I just acknowledge him, it might change his day, you know, and I know there's a certain responsibility with that we all have. Everyone at some point's the person on the bottom or the person on the top, and you know, you have to, the person on the top might need help, you know. They don't just have it all. Like, I've spent a lot of time where I was like winning contests, but my heart was in turmoil, or something terrible was going on in my life, you know, and I needed help with that from someone else, but people at a contest don't see that. So I think it's having awareness of other people and of yourself as much as possible, and then starting to know what you need as well. But like, I don't know, they say it's we're all one, you know. It always comes back to this sort of spiritual thing. It sometimes can be corny, but it's true, you know. We all are one, and we all need to try to figure out how to get along and help each other. And I think we see now with political climates in Brazil or in America, you see a lot of strange stuff happening. And the one thing you'll notice is, whether you believe the right or the left or whatever it is, we're probably all a little bit divided in ourselves, and that doesn't help society, you know. So yeah, I think it's understanding. If you can have total understanding for somebody who sees the world completely different than you, then you've got a lot of the answers.
Well, it was a great conversation. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I wanted to thank you very much. It was a really huge pleasure to have you here. I have to say, he's the nicest guy we ever hosted here. He was talking to everyone, giving a lot of autographs. So thank you very much for being like that and inspiring us.
Thank you, guys.
Before, a gente tem vídeo aqui. There's a video. Can you roll?
They got your video? They have your video? Huh? They got some of your video?
No, it's
you
all
guys
my
know
video.
She's a world champ, right?
Yeah, they know.
Should show you.
It is so nice to be back. And Brazil is the center of the global conversation on the role of nature in business and industry, in climate, in the future of the world.
Sorte não é para poucos, é para todo mundo que corre atrás e nunca desiste. Você vai descobrir que a sorte é recompensa pela sua coragem. Boa sorte, empreendedores!
Now that's the end. That's the last wave.
All right. Obrigado.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you for having me. Bom, enquanto vocês estão andando, eu vou contando aqui uma história rápida. Assim chegamos então ao fim, né, da nossa histórica edição da Expo XP. Isso, aproveita para tirar a foto ali do canto. Foram dias intensos, com conteúdo de altíssimo nível, provocações necessárias, encontros transformadores e uma energia que só esse festival é capaz de tirar lá de dentro da gente. Celebramos então 15 anos da Expo, olhando para o passado com muito orgulho. O presente aqui, olha que bacana essa imagem. O Kelly é muito querido.